What's going on, people? Welcome back to another edition of CU Sunday NFL Week 6 edition, brought to you by the Off the Ball Network and brought to you by SeatGeek, your number one place for all your ticket needs. Make sure to head on over to SeatGeek.com or download the app. Use promo code Off the Ball Network, all caps, to get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. Let's go. We have a big week of games. We have a game that's literally about to start in London, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New York Jets. Jacksonville definitely they need a win desperately, and the Jets coming off a tough loss to the Denver Broncos. But Ken, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I mean, this Jets Vikings game is going to be an interesting one for sure. I don't know what the Vikings are yet. They are out to a really hot start. I guess the question is, are they for real or not? That offense certainly is. We'll see how the defense does against a Jets offense that really struggled last week against Denver, and we talked about that a lot on one of our previous shows. But yeah, I'm fired up for today. There's a lot of good games in the early window. I'm going to go golf in the afternoon because I don't really care to watch Raiders, Broncos, or
Nasty
Packers,
games.
Rams could be okay, but just that later window is not as good as some of these games.
And we'll talk about our nastiest game of the week in a little bit. But let's talk about the Thursday night game first. That was a thriller. Kirk Cousins threw for a lot of yards, and he looked healthy. He finally looked like the Kirk Cousins that they brought in and to help them win this division. He went absolutely insane. That was just a fun game to watch, regardless if you root for either team. It was a fun game. He threw for 509 yards, 4 touchdowns. I think he threw like 60 times. The run game was just they abandoned that real quick. But yeah, Kirk Cousins throws for 4 touchdowns, 500 yards, just an absolute tremendous game. Baker had a solid game, especially in the first half. Threw for almost 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. Mike Evans got his 100th touchdown. So congratulations to Mo's favorite wide receiver. He did good. But just quick thoughts on this game, because it was a track meet.
So, I mean, if we're talking Atlanta, this is exactly why you bring in Kirk Cousins, because Atlanta probably should have won the division last year, but Desmond Ritter was at QB. And now you make the move for Kirk, and everyone hopped off the Atlanta bandwagon quickly when they lost to the Steelers. Then you get the Eagles win, and then you lose to Kansas City, and then suddenly everyone's all out on Atlanta, and it's like, but why? Because they lost to a good team and a good defense in Kirk's first game, so they bounced back in a big way. Bijan was nowhere to be found late in that game, which I think gets fantasy owners on the edge of their seats. What the hell's going on? Are we getting more Arthur Smith here in Atlanta? But look, they came back and won the game. That's what matters here, is that
they got the dub.
They've now got 2 big division wins, and they're at home. Those are the ones that you have to win if you are going to win this division. And Kirk's slinging it. And on the Tampa side, I'm ready to just say that I was wrong about Baker. Situation really did matter with him. Cleveland wasn't great. And then he goes to Carolina. It's not great. He had that quick stop at the Rams where he kind of, I think, got a bit.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot he was at the Rams for a cup of coffee.
But I just think that, look, he's got a team that believes in him. He's in one of the better situations, too. He's got the best left tackle probably in the game. He's got Evans, he's got Godwin. The run game, Bucky Irving, that was a horrendous fumble to give up. But guy's a rookie. That's a learning spot for him to, you have to take care of the football down there in that spot. But yeah, it was a great win for Atlanta. It's one you had to have, because if not, you got Tampa up a couple games on you, and they've got the home win. So now you got to go win in Tampa. So I think just a great win for them. Atlanta's defense also in the second half stepped up in a big way, because they were Swiss cheese in the first half.
Yeah. Jesse Bates had a big fumble. But I remember looking at that, after the game, be like, oh, I hope I didn't go against Kirk Cousins in fantasy football, because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be down 60 already. I know I'm going against Jelani, I think, and I know he had Mooney. So down below, I think he had like 20 points. He had
I've got
25 points.
I've got my bets on bets co-host Walker this week, and he started Bucky and beat Bijan. So it's the start that I needed this week for sure. So we'll see how it plays out.
So yeah, that was a thrilling game Thursday night. Kirk, he's done solid in primetime so far this year. He's getting rid of that narrative a little bit, playing big in big games, and that's why they brought him there. So because like you said last year, quarterback position was the big reason why they didn't win the division, and Kirk is there to help them win the division. So against the team that won the division last year. So big win. That's definitely one of the better games so far in this season.
Thursday night football too. Like you look at the schedule the next number of weeks, like they're putting in an effort on the NFL side with how they're scheduling Thursday night football, because I think it's San Fran, Seattle, then they go Denver, New Orleans. That's a Sean Payton return game. And then you got like Houston Jets in there somewhere. Like they are trying to put better teams on Thursday night because look, last year it felt like every week it's like, all right, we got Pittsburgh and Cleveland. It's like, oh boy, this is going to be a tough one. So they're putting some good offenses on there, and I mean, it's good to see.
I think they know that people are talking about the Thursday slates and the Giants versus the Jaguars, and we don't need to see stuff like that. Like games like that.
Because you have to prioritize Thursday night over Sunday night to be like, because Sunday you get the full slate of games. Look at the Sunday night, whatever. But if you're going to put a standalone game on Thursdays and Mondays, those got to be good games. Otherwise, people are not going to be tuning in.
Yeah, 100% right. Because listen, no matter like how many bad games there could be Sunday, you're still going to watch. Fantasy implications, whatever, right? You're gonna watch, and there's always a game that's always gonna, steal the day. But that Thursday alone, that standalone game, you got to make sure that's a watchable football game, and that Thursday game was definitely a watchable football game. So we definitely enjoyed that one. But let's go with our pick 'em four segment. I got a few games here. We're gonna talk about them. Let's talk about Baltimore, Cincinnati. Baltimore goes to Cincinnati. Baltimore is favored by 2.5 points on the road. They looked really good last week against Buffalo. They absolutely dominated them 2 weeks ago when they played the Cowboys. They were dominating, and then they let them come back, but they looked like the Baltimore Ravens we thought they would look like, heading into this season. Cincinnati. Cincinnati still, they looked a little better. But it was the Panthers, but they got the win. So Baltimore, Cincinnati, Baltimore favorite minus 2.5. Ken, who we like here?
Man, I hate the thought process of, man, this team really needs a win, like especially with the Bengals this week, because like it might be time to just say that maybe they're not good, and I don't think it has as much to do with Burrow the way that he's playing. Like he's almost 1,000 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, 1 pick. Like he's not turning the ball over.
He's playing good. Yeah, he's playing good.
He's, like the numbers are there that's showing, and I know that he's played a couple of bad teams, but still the numbers are there that he's playing decent. And now you look, even beating Carolina, giving up 24 points to Andy Dalton is not inspiring confidence when after what Baltimore just did to Buffalo. But I'm going to take the Bengals because there's so much money on Baltimore. Like, it's crazy looking at that. Like, I think the last time I looked, it was like 80% of bets on Baltimore. And if there's one thing that we've learned in the NFL so far this year is when the public is on a team, they are wrong. And I think that, look, that Buffalo game, they are on a bit of a shorter week now. And I think that this is a good spot for Cincy. So I'll take the Bengals.
Bengals.
Who you got?
I think I might go with you with Cincinnati. Like I said, they're not running the ball good, but Joe Burrow is playing good football. I know that I'm not the biggest Joey B guy, but he is playing good football despite the running game being almost non-existent. And Baltimore's defense still isn't great. and I think he could carve them up. I feel like the receivers are starting to get in their groove. Chase is starting to look like Chase. T. Higgins, played solid last week, so it feels like the passing game is starting to really come into fruition. So I think they carve them up in the pass game, but they just got to if they have to try to contain Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry, can 200 yards rushing last week, or 199, I think he had 199. He went off last week, so you got to contain him, and they don't have a good rush D either.
Him to score a touchdown today is like minus 200. Like that's like CMC territory from last year, and we know that really he was on a huge TD streak.
Yeah. So and Baltimore's passing game is still. I know it's probably like middle of the pack, but it's still not good. And they got to rely on Lamar and King Henry to hold down the fort with the run game. But I think Cincinnati does their thing in the air, and I think Baltimore has to try to come back via the pass. And I don't think it's gonna.
Mark Andrews is nowhere to be found, and Zay Flowers is a great number 2, but I think he's proving that he can't be your top weapon on an NFL offense if you're going to go and win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Isaiah Likely too. Like Isaiah Likely had a tremendous week 1 against Kansas City, and then they just.
I kind of mentioned it at the start of the year. Like a lot of those guys that you don't really think about, like the Devin Duvernays and guys like that were with Baltimore for so long. Those guys were huge because like every 3 or 4 weeks they would just give you a long bomb touchdown, and it would go such a long way for them. And now they don't have that guy in that offense, and I think you're seeing the repercussions of that.
Yeah. So, and I know they're in the market for potentially to get a wide receiver. There's a few guys potentially available. So we'll see what happens with that. But I'm going to take Cincinnati with you on there. All right. Second game. Your Dallas Cowboys go to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's favored by 2.5 points. What's your thoughts on this game? I could see it being an ugly, ugly game.
Yeah, I mean, look, no Parsons, no Lawrence, so defense is not going to be great. We still don't have Cooks.
He's on IR.
I think Diggs is questionable. Like,
yes,
I don't know. It's like we're very hobbled in this game, and with so many guys out, there's so much money on Dallas today, which I think you're going to get that a decent amount of the time just with how much they are nationally. But look, I don't like this spot for us. I think that the thing that helps is that we've been terrible against the run, and with the Steelers without Warren, they're basically leaning on Najee to have a big game.
Sorry, I'm sorry I laughed.
I know, right?
3.3, Mr. 3.3 yards per game.
Yeah, he's been bad. So yeah, that's the concerning part. Like they're a top 10 rushing team, but a lot of that has to do with Fields also doing some stuff with his legs more than anything else. So
yeah.
I know that there's a ton of public money on it. I will probably do what I did week 1, which is I will bet Dallas money line, which I hate doing, but I think it's because you're getting Dallas in a plus money spot, and you're not going to get that a lot.
No.
With them.
No.
So, and get them a lot against teams that you actually feel like they could beat. Like if they were dogs against like the Detroits or the San Frans in the NFC, then I'd be like, you know what? I'm not touching that game. Mm-hmm. When you've got a Pittsburgh team that I think is a fairly fraudulent 3-1 team, then I think that this is an okay spot for them. So that's where I'll go.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with you. I think, like you said, plus money on the money line there. Pittsburgh's running game is, like I said, it's all Justin Fields. Cordell Patterson's out. Jalen Warren's out. I mean, Najee is averaging, like I said, 3.3 yards per carry. Has not looked good at all. So they're going to be very heavy on. And with Justin Fields, passing game has not anything yet, this year. Pickens is probably still like, he's still waiting. He's still waiting to have that breakout game. And this could be it. This could be it. I just don't see it happening. I think Dallas front runs in this game. And if they're up by 2 touchdowns early, I think they'll win this game because I just don't see Pittsburgh, having enough ammunition to come back in that situation. So if I'm Dallas, I know the run game hasn't been there, but you got to try to establish some type of run game and then try to hit them. I know the Pittsburgh's defense is one of the better defenses in the league, but you got to try to still get CD and them going, even though you got a lot of guys banged up. But this could be this could be like a 17-6 kind of game, honestly. Like I could see Dallas, like even though they have injuries on defense, but I just think that Pittsburgh's offense is still not great. So I think I'm with you on that with Dallas, and I think I'm gonna go with you on with Dallas getting the dub here.
Yeah, I do think that it has gross game potential. I will say that just because Dallas is missing those guys, though, like it could be one of those games where we do give up a decent amount of points, and then Dak gets a ton of garbage time too.
Oh, he loves that.
This is one of these, like, look, Dak might throw for 350, 4 touchdowns, and Dallas wins like 28-24, and it's in a comeback fashion. So just watch out for that.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. But Pittsburgh defense is really good, so I could see this definitely be a low scoring game. What's the over under on this?
I think it's 43.5 the last time I looked. So they're looking at 24-20 type game, or like maybe it is a bit more of a blowout on the Steelers side and you get like 27-17 or something. But
yeah,
it's a gross game.
Yeah, it's definitely. So, we're both on Dallas on that one. All right, next game, Buffalo at the Houston Texans. Buffalo got absolutely railroaded by the Ravens last week, and Houston bounced back with the W last week. Nico Collins is a stud.
Yeah.
He's really good at football. Houston's favored by 1 point. Essentially a pick 'em. Who we got?
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you consider this a Diggs revenge game or an Allen revenge game?
I think Diggs is going to try to show out in this one.
I agree. I think he's going to try and show out. But to me, this is an Allen revenge game because, look, Diggs got what he wanted. He's out of Buffalo. He's in Houston. He's in a new spot. Feels like he's in a great situation for himself moving forward. But Allen's got to be a little bit pissed off about this, the way that this is being framed, because
100%.
He tried to get him the ball, and
he did a good job of it too. Like Diggs was a top 5 receiver with him.
Diggs from being a good wide receiver to a great one over a number of years. He got him paid. And now it's being framed like Allen is this terrible guy that ran him out of town, when Diggs was the one just pouting on the sidelines and throwing the hissy fits and being the diva wide receiver. I think that this is an Allen revenge game. I think all he's heard all offseason is, well, he doesn't have weapons anymore. And the thing that hurts is him not having Shakir today, because Shakir has been his on guy, 6 or 7 receptions every week. So look at like your Kincaids, maybe Coleman has a good game. Everyone's going to bet a Diggs touchdown, because when they get down there, Stroud is going to make a concerted effort to get Stephon Diggs the ball. And all the power to you if you want to bet that. But I went with Buffalo this week. There's a lot of money on Houston. I think people are lower on Buffalo after what happened with Baltimore, but I think that this is a spot for them. Like, I think you get a shootout here. Like, Stroud and Allen are going to sling it all over the place.
I could see that, yeah.
Neither defense is particularly great against the pass, so I think this is one of your higher scoring affairs of the day. Honestly, if you only have one TV for the opening slate, like the early slate, I think that you watch this game. Like, I know Baltimore, since he's got that division rivalry, but this to me is the game of the day. It's 2 great offenses, and we'll see if Allen, because he was the MVP favorite until last week. Then he had a bad outing. So I think this is a bit of a revenge spot for him. I'd get him to get into the end zone and maybe throw for a couple as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you with that. Like, the constant of no receiver. And it's crazy because if you take out Shakir, they only have one guy with one receiver over 100 yards, and that's Keon Coleman, and he's a rookie. Yeah. So depending on a youngster, and that's why they're also a team that's in the market for a wide receiver, and they could definitely use one. With there's a couple of receivers that they're saying trade talks are heating up, so we'll see what happens with there. But yeah, the whole Diggs stuff was always, it's just weird, and I thought things were going well. I mean, like I said, Diggs was playing good football with Josh, and they both elevated their games together. They both became all pro type players together. So it's interesting, but yeah, I think Josh Allen after last week, they actually got destroyed. I think this is definitely a bounce back game, and definitely a game that definitely on top of one of the better games of the week. And like I said, not a lot of great matchups, and this is definitely one of the better matchups, and could be a shootout. It could be a shootout. Both quarterbacks are one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Some even think top 5. So this could definitely be a shootout. Nico Collins is on an absolute tear. Even though he's always questionable, they always saying, "Oh, he might not play," and then somehow, 8 catches, 10 catches for this many yards, and it's like, okay, yeah, questionable my ass. He wound up balling out, but it's going to be interesting. Does Buffalo try to get the run game going? James Cook has been solid this year, receiving and run the ball. So can they get the run game going? Because it's like I said, there's not a lot of pass targets out there for them. So I could see Kincaid is going to be a big factor in this. He's kind of been their best weapon outside of Shakir. So this is going to be a good one. I'm going to go with, man, I've been going back and forth, but I think Buffalo bounces back and gets the W in this one. I think it's a close game. I think it's a field goal type of game that comes down to the last, possession. So I'm going to go Buffalo getting the W.
Love it.
Who you got? Did you say?
Oh, I got Buffalo today.
Buffalo? Yeah, Buffalo with the bounce back. Okay. All right. And a game that could be in our nasty game, but I just want to talk about them since these two teams get talked a lot in our chat, is the Indianapolis Colts at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville is favored by -3.5. Anthony Richardson, for some people, think the worst quarterback in modern day history. The second coming,
horrendous.
The second coming of Tim Couch, some people may think, but Jacksonville desperately needs a win. They lost. They lost to Houston last week after getting throttled by the Buffalo 2 weeks ago. I don't think AR is not playing. Right, he's out. Right, he's officially out.
I believe is in.
Yeah, so Flacco's in. So does Flacco and the offense look good with Flacco? Offense look good with Flacco. Caleb Downs came back and he had a good game. I think he had 8 catches. So the receivers were getting the ball. So can Indy pull up the upset? Going to Jacksonville, which is kind of crazy to think that they're dogs. Against a defeated team. But does Jacksonville get the first W?
I think, look, I want nothing more than Jacksonville to lose, but it has nothing to do with like hating Thad or anything.
Hold on one second, Ken. I got breaking news. Sorry about that.
It has nothing to do with hating Thad. It has everything to do with the fact that I think Peterson's lost this locker room, and I think if he loses this game, I think he's fired for sure. If you're 0-5 and you lose a home spot to an Indy team that doesn't have Jonathan Taylor and doesn't have Anthony Richardson, like if you're losing to Joe Flacco with not their top weapon,
then Taylor's out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like with Taylor being out, but I am going to pick Jacksonville today. I do think that without JT, that's going to be huge for that offense. And look, we know that that Jacksonville schedule wasn't the easiest out of the gate. Like when they played Miami, they had to they should have beat Cleveland, but you kind of shake that one off, and then you have the Houston loss mixed in there as well. So we knew that it wasn't the easiest schedule for them out of the gate, and having the Bills too when they absolutely stomped them. This is a home division game against the Colts team that just isn't at 100%. I hate that this line moved above a field goal because it was sitting at -3 all week, and I was hoping that it would go down to 2.5, and instead it went the other way, which tells me that I think Jacksonville wins today. I don't know if I would bet the 3.5. I would probably just buy the half a point to 3 in case it pushes. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with my heart on this game, and my heart is going with Indianapolis. I want to see Thad not get a nap. No. Thad deserves it after yesterday. He rooted harshly. He thought that Miami would lose. He was drinking because of Miami losing by 25 points. And I want to see his team lose. So this is with my heart. This is with my heart. And I'm going with the Colts. I'm rooting for Stu and Joe Flacco. And even though Stu will not be happy regardless. Actually, no, he might be. Stu might be really happy.
He might be all in on the Colts after today.
And yeah, he
about division championship, Super Bowl MVP at quarterback. We look incredible. We did it without Jonathan Taylor. Anthony Richardson could never do this. He's Jamarcus Russell reincarnated. Like he might go all the way there, and I'm just getting my popcorn ready for that conversation.
I'm waiting for that. So yeah, I'm going with my heart. My heart is going with the Colts to take care of business, and with the upset win over Jacksonville, and Jacksonville falls to 0-5, which would be really, really disheartening. And like I said, it might lead to our first firing of the season. It's getting bad. It's getting bad in Jacksonville. I didn't think it would go this bad. I thought they would struggle. Like I said, I didn't like the team, but ETN's banged up. We don't know what's going on with Trevor. Like he's struggled. There's no Ingram again. He's out. I know Indy's missing a bunch of guys too, but Flacco, I don't know. I feel like Flacco's just gonna fling it like crazy and pull out the W. It feels like one of those games where Flacco just has a monster game. So yeah, I'm going with the Colts. Going with Indianapolis in this. Sorry, Thad. All right, let's go with our nastiest game of the week. We talked about some of them before, some potential nasty matches, but what is the nastiest game of the week?
Oh man, there's so many candidates this week.
There really is, man. There really is.
I think one that probably isn't getting talked enough about because of other games. I think Carolina Chicago is a really
yeah.
And the thing that saves this game is obviously just Caleb Williams being in that game. Like you're hoping that he starts to kind of turn that corner. Last week against the Rams, he threw for 157, 1 touchdown, no picks. So at the very least, he took care of the picks problem. But now, like, you're playing a bad Carolina team. This is a spot where if Caleb is a guy, go throw for 3 touchdowns. Get people off your back for a couple of weeks, because if you have a good game in a spot like that, and then you got Andy Dalton on the other side, who's actually been pretty good. He's got 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. So it's gross in a sense that I don't think that anyone's taking either of these teams seriously. It has that shootout potential if Dalton is playing the way that he's playing. Like, I know that Chicago defense is really good, but Dalton seems to just have that locker room like going right now. I know they lost last week, but coming off the win the week prior, feels like the team's a little bit reinvigorated now that they've got a QB at the helm like him. So yeah, I think that's probably a nasty game this week. There's so many candidates though that this is
I was thinking that one because obviously Caleb played a little better last week, but he struggled. That offense is just not there. I mean, but
it shouldn't. But that shouldn't be a bad offense. That's the thing.
It shouldn't. It really shouldn't.
And part of it probably has to do with coaching. But when you're three wide receivers are DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roma Dunze. You have weapons. And Swift got going last week, and O'Shawn's a good running back in there as well. Kmet is a good tight end. There's nothing about that offense that says that they should be struggling. So
yeah, the offensive line needs to be better for sure. Play calling it seems like it's definitely been suspect. But I think this is a game where I think Caleb has his game. I think this is the Caleb Williams game. I think he bounces. I think he has his breakout game. Because if he doesn't, then there's going to be some questions about coaching. Another who's going to be the offensive coordinator, because they might have to make changes there too. And we've seen that before with coaching. Offensive coordinators getting let go. Few games into a season. So that has potential to be one of the nastiest games. I think the nastiest game of the week for me is the Patriots and the Dolphins. And it's crazy to think that a team, Dolphins, with two of the faster wide receivers can be nasty. But I just think this is obviously with Tyler Huntley at quarterback, this offense is going in reverse. They had some injuries. They lost a lot. They just lost Jalen Phillips, who Aaron Rodgers do a pick six.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was always Dan Ginkle first touchdown. It was always him for first touchdown today.
Yeah. I think it's the second pick six. He had one against us, I think, or Danny Dimes. Oh, Aaron, this offense. This offense is.
I mean, not to get off the topic of how bad that Dolphins and Patriots game is going to be, but
it's bad. That's my nastiest game of the week. We don't got to go much into it. Yeah. It's just nasty. We know that the Patriots offense is they run. Stevenson is benched, and that offense is just.
So
nasty.
We can agree that Saul is not a head coach in the NFL, right?
Oh no, he's not.
Yeah, and I think until he's no longer there, I just don't think that we can talk about the Jets as a serious team. And again, it's another one of those, why is that the case? Because the offense looks bad, even though they have two great running backs, a great wide receiver one, Mike Williams with the deep ball, and all of Rodgers' buddies from the last couple of years also mixed in. Like, why is that offense bad? And I think it has everything to do with coaching and play calling. Aaron made great throws against the Patriots, but it's the Patriots, so I think we all thought that they were.
He didn't make a good throw there. That was right to him, right to the Van Ginkel. Like, that was a bad throw, but you're right. Coaching has been bad. Coaching, offensive, play calling has been bad. But that's his buddy. But that's his buddy. So
yeah, I mean you can blame it on the coaching, but there's a reason why this roster and coaching staff kind of looks the way that it does, because the Jets were so desperate that they basically just handed the keys to the kingdom to Aaron, and he got hurt last year, and now this year he's looked great at times, but he's also been very bad at times.
He looks like a 40-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles. That's exactly what he looks like, and it may take him a few more games to get really comfortable. In the offense and just being comfortable with that leg, but
he's not rolling out. That's the thing. Like, what made Rodgers great was escaping the pocket and then on the run, just absolutely slinging
the deep
passes on the run, and he can't do that anymore, and it's showing.
Yeah, it's showing, and I don't know if this is something that we should be more concerned with Aaron's play. Or we just have to be patient with him because he is an older core. He's 40 and he's coming off a major injury. So, but Jets fans are impatient. Mm-hmm. They thought this was they thought last year was the year. They thought maybe this could be their year, but it's off to it's potentially with another loss like Salah.
If they lose today, then you get Buffalo next week. And like, if they're sitting at 2-4, are they canning Saul at that point? Or how long does he have with this group? Because he's been on the hot seat for a little bit. He got the Zach Wilson excuse and then the Aaron getting hurt excuse. But if you're then 2-4, like, what's the excuse at that point?
I think the Buffalo game will tell us a lot. I think the
I mean,
Buffalo
it
Bills.
also depends on quality of losses, right? If you're losing close games, then you're probably okay. But if you go and lose to Buffalo by 3 scores next week, then you start to talk about him. And another game that we have to mention for grossest of the week, just I think out of principle, is we got to mention Denver and the Raiders, because
Oh my God,
that is
mutiny with the Raiders. You
you're
know,
going Minshew versus Bo Nix with the potential of Aiden O'Connell at some point coming in. Like, no, I'm good, thanks. There's no Devante, because he's got a hamstring issue.
yeah, it's devastating injury.
Devastating hamstring issue, and then as soon as he gets traded, then he's going to put some icy hot on that thing, and he's going to be fine.
It could be like James Harden when James Harden was
Yeah.
out when he was still in Houston, and then he goes to Brooklyn, and suddenly he miraculously loses 30 pounds, and
Suddenly he was fine. He was ready to go. But there's no Zamir White, maybe no Max Crosby. He's still questionable right now, so that's a gross game.
That's a nasty game. Yeah. I don't think Zamir Might's going to make a difference anyway. I think Madison kind of might have taken his
Madison
spot.
has looked very good. Also, Trey Tucker is apparently a guy now. He's had a couple of good games for them.
Yeah, he had a touchdown last week. So that's someone like for fantasy people that that's someone you might think they got to throw the football to someone other than Brock Bowers. So that's a name.
The last 2 weeks he was 5 for 41 and then 7 for 96 and a touchdown. So he's been getting a lot of targets for sure.
Yeah, so that's definitely a name that people should be on the lookout for. Bo Nix. Yeah, Bo Nix is not good. I know he's a rookie. I think
he had 60 passing yards in the win against the Jets last week. Just another way of
only has one touchdown throwing so far.
He's not a starter. There's a difference between rookie quarterbacks that are going out making mistakes and if they throw for 200 but they have 2 or 3 picks, then you can live with that. I don't care that you're winning games. If your quarterback's throwing for 60 yards, then that's just not a guy. That's not who you should be focusing the franchise on moving forward. But he'll get the full season, maybe even part of a second season, and then they'll have to move on from him at that point because he is not very good.
This is for a whole nother show, but just the overdrafting of quarterbacks that just I know you
again.
They got him again.
He got picked again.
Oh, I gotta see it. I'm a little delayed. Let me see this. What happened?
Apologies for that. Jeez, that's bad. You know what? I think I mentioned it at the very start of the show about Minnesota being.
Oh, but that's a bad throw. That's on him. That's an overthrow. Yeah. That's not good. That's not good.
I think he is. Yeah, I was wrong about Minnesota maybe not being legitimate.
But that's crazy is that difference in coaching is we thought Minnesota they had a really crazy offseason, right? That one of their draft picks dies, just a lot of injuries, we
thought JJ was going to be their QB this year. And then,
they take JJ McCarthy high. They thought maybe he's the guy, the whole Justin Jefferson situation. Maybe he's on a trade block, the running back situation, and they're undefeated. And it looks like they're up 10-0 already, and they making Aaron Rodgers look like a 40-year-old quarterback coming off a Achilles injury. And they just look like they're just very well coached. They shouldn't be this good, but because they're coached well, and that's the difference between these two teams. The coaching is ultimately the difference between these two. Because the Jets are they got better talent, they have more talent on their team, but they just have better coaching.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, that was a bad throw. That's tough. But all right, Ken, close it out. Touchdown parlay. What you got?
So I'm gonna give you guys two-leggers this week. We're gonna go running back wise, and then we'll go wide receiver, tight end wise. So I think if you're looking at 2 running back touchdown scores today, A-Chain for Miami is one. I know that we talked about that being a gross game, but if there's something that we learned from that Titans game, it's that McDaniel is going to hand the ball to A-Chain a ton. They're going to throw to A-Chain a ton because he's not airing it out. So that leaves a guy like
they can't air it out.
and he's one of those guys. He's got so much speed out of the backfield that I think that he's one to certainly look at. Second one is James Cook today. I talked about that being a shootout between Buffalo and Houston. Allen may vulture TDs, which is why I think people are apprehensive at times to put Cook in there. But I think that he will hand off the ball at some point in the red zone to him, and he's going to get in the end zone. So
he has 4 rushing touchdowns, right?
Yeah, he's fine. But you know how it is. Everyone it's no different with when Derrick Henry was going to Baltimore. It's like, well, Lamar might vulture TDs. When Saquon went to the Eagles, well, Hurts might vulture TDs. Guess what? These guys are fine. They're getting in the end zone at a
they're still scoring touchdowns. Yeah.
And then the second one's a riskier one, but I guess we're calling it we're finally going to get them the ball in the red zone, guys. Brandon Ayuk for San Fran. Look, I just think that when we're looking at this Arizona defense, it is not good. They are going to give up a ton of points. They just gave up 42 to Washington. They gave up 34 to Buffalo. Like, they're not great.
They're not a good defense at all.
And the second one, I think on Monday night, Kelsey's going to finally get that touchdown. Now that Rice is out, they basically have Worthy, Juju, Justin Watson, and Travis Kelce. So I think that spot against the Saints, that's going to be the Kelsey touchdown game. So A-Chain and Cook, if you want the safer one. Ayuk and Kelsey, if you want to go for more value, because those are both higher plus money plays. So those are the two. And if you want to put all 4 of them together because you're Chris and you like adding extra legs, then you can just throw all 4 of those in there and see what happens. But we're going to have more bets coming up in about an hour here with bets on bets as well. Walker and I are coming off a 5-1 week. The only loser last week was Falcons -2.5 when they won by 2. So we were a point away from a clean sweep. But unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbles. So
yeah. How did our touchdown parlay go last week?
Well, that was the 5-leg one. I think we hit 3 of the 5. The 2 that we didn't was Breece Hall down in the red zone.
Oh, he was in the 1-yard line. Yep. Because he was at the 1-yard line, and then he just
got to play football. One other one, the one that was called back. Was that Aaron Jones? Might have been Aaron Jones that had the TD called back. There was a running back last week that had a touchdown called back. That's how close we were. Yeah. So that was a 5-legger. We're going with the 2 2-leggers this week. Combine them all if you want as well. But I think that there's a lot of value to be had out there. There's a lot of players who are kind of due for touchdowns. Like Josh Jacobs is another one.
I was about to ask you that. Like, who are guys that are due that you think can get in the end zone?
Josh Jacobs for sure is at the top of my list. He's getting the majority of carries in Green Bay, and he just hasn't been able to finally break through and score. So that would be one that I look at. I gave you a bit of a hard time in the chat about the Giants potentially covering today. I think Wan'Dale Robinson, I would throw some money on him to score today as just a solo touchdown play. And then maybe you look at a guy like Rico Dowdle today for Dallas. That's going to be we think that it could be lower scoring. I said it could be a Dak throwing game, but maybe Dowdle when they get down in the red zone. He also has been getting a decent amount of catches as well. So there's a lot of value to be had out there today. A lot more games in the 40, 45 point range for over-unders. We've had a lot in the 30s recently.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of the gross games, a lot of them are in that mid-40s range. So I think you get a lot more touchdowns today than anything else.
All right. So we'll see. Make sure to check on bets for starts at the top of the hour. So make sure to check that out to get all your betting information you need for the week 6 slate of games. So that's going to do it for See You Sunday. Make sure to, like I said, check out, some of our picks, check out that touchdown parlay. Hopefully we can win you some money. Like I said, make sure to check on bets. It starts at the top of the hour. Make sure to, if you want to get to the games, make sure to go to SeatGeek.com for your ticket needs. Promo code Off the Ball Network, all caps, for $20 off your first purchase. But that's it for See You Sunday. Enjoy the slate of games. Enjoy the demise of Aaron Rodgers, potentially, if you're that type of person. And we'll see you for Overreaction Monday tomorrow, and make sure to check out Bets on Bets on Bets. That is coming on top of your off the ball network. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that. Appreciate you guys. Take care.